Hello everyone, welcome back to another video tutorial, and this video tutorial we will be looking at a continuation of the topic spreadsheet. Our focus however will be on spreadsheet functions. Now for this tutorial we will be creating an allowance list for a number of students for 3 days. And of course, we will first have to collect the data before we can be able to perform our function. So let's begin. In row 1, we will place all of our column headings. And then for each of these columns, we will place the required information. So in cell A1, we will place the heading students' names. And as you can see, this goes over to cell B1. However, to make the adjustment, we place our cursor on the line directly between A and B at the top here, and then we double click and it automatically adjusts. Once that has been completed, we move on to continue our headings. So in B1, we have day 1 allowance, day 2 allowance in C, and in D1 we have day 3 allowance. Now I will just go ahead and quickly place the students' names. So randomly we make up some name. First student is Mary Smith. Second student, Bill James. Third student, Tim Scott. Fourth student, Sam Sims. And our final student in the list, Ray Charles. So the names have been collected, so now we can go ahead and complete the allowance for each student. So we will just go based on columns, so day 1, day 2, and then day 3. So random again, the allowance for Mary, $2,000, for Bill, $1,500, for Tim, $1,400, for Sam, $600, and for Ray Charles it's $1,550. For day 2, for Mary, she got $2,500, Bill got $1,700, Tim got $1,600, Sam got $1,200, and Ray Charles got $2,550. And then our final day, the allowance for Mary was $2,700. For Bill, it was $2,000. For Tim, it was $2,100. For Sam, it was $1,550. And for Ray Charles, it was $3,000. So that gives us all of the information that we currently need. And then now we will be able to proceed to complete our functions. First function that we want to complete is a sum. So the column heading for sum we will use is total. And then in our first student information, again it was Mary, and her allowance, first allowance was placed in B2, and then the second C2, and her final allowance was placed in D2. So that would be for the student Mary. So first thing that we want in our function is our equal sign, and we should remember this from our last tutorial. So we have our equal sign followed by our function name, which is sum, and then this is followed by our open bracket. Once our bracket has been opened, we now identify the cell address where our first allowance was placed, and this is in B2. So we place B2 followed by our colon. Again, our colon was replaced or is replacing the addition sign, and then we have our final cell address, which was D2. If you notice, we did not put a C2 in the equation because the colon indicates that it will also be placed in this function. Once D2 has been entered, we can now go ahead and place our final closing bracket. Once that has been completed, we can now go ahead and select enter on our keyboard, and that should give us the total allowance for Mary for the 3 days. Second student was Bill James. However, for Bill, we will use another method in order to produce our sum, and this will include an auto sum. So first thing that we want to do is to ensure that our home tab is selected, and then we move to our far right where the editing section is where we're looking at. And in this section, we want to locate the heading that says auto sum, which is here. We select the drop down arrow, and from this we will select sum. Once that has been selected, you can see that it automatically highlights all the cells that we're collecting values for, and it does the function for us very quickly. So the only thing that we need to do is to select enter on our keyboard. A third way that we can go ahead and find the total for the other students would be to place our cursor in the last total, and that was for Bill. Place the cursor in his section, and then in our green box here, or for the cell highlighted, we have to the far right of the box a small box. We place our cursor there, and then we click and drag to our last student. Once we reach the last student, we release our cursor, and that automatically gives us the total for all of our students. The next thing that we want to find is the average for each of the student. Again, the method that I'm beginning with is equal, followed by the name of the function, which is average, but for this we will use a shortening, which is AVG, open bracket. The first cell location for the allowance was in B2, and then our colon, and then we don't want the total column, we only want all of the allowances, so day 1, day 2, and day 3. So the last cell address that we are collecting is D2, and that is day 3. So D2, and then we close our bracket and then press enter. So a pop-up box appear, we just select yes just to confirm. For this we will use the drag method. So again, we place our cursor on the first average that was selected, and then on the small box to the bottom right of the selected cell, we click and we drag to our last student, then we release, and that would give us our average for total average for each student allowance. If you are paying close attention, you would realize that some of these information contains decimal placement. If we don't want any decimal placement for these information, what we can do is just to go to the section on our ribbon here that says number, and we look for the placement that says increase or decrease. In this case, we want to decrease the decimal, so we click on this 1, 2, 3, and that would round off our numbers to whole numbers. And that was just a quick and easy way to produce total and average for using the function in Spreadsheet. And I thank you so very much for watching. I do hope that you learned something new, and please stick around for the other video tutorials to come.